Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert, and on this channel we talk Kanye West. And actually, well, today we're talking Kid Cudi, but that's because it's Kid Cudi in relation to Kanye West. So this post by which/one started to get some traction from here, and then posted to the West Sub Ever Twitter, and got a retweet from me out of excitement. But I decided to check out the source material, the Esquire interview in question. That was the source from this Cudi article, right? And not exactly what we were hoping for. So you can see Ye and Cudi are still planning Kid C Goes 2 alongside the animated show, according to the new Cudi article. And this seems like it would be from this interview that Esquire did right here. Kid Cudi wants you to know he's happy now. You get the quotes, like talking about Kanye and Trump. And then it says the two are still planning their Kid See Ghost sequel alongside an animated show. The expectation when you read that is that this was part of the discussion. Like the interviewer asked Cudi, hey, are these things happening? And Cudi's like, yes. But it turns out that when you go to this and you search like Murakami, nothing, right? And enter Galactic, nothing. Neither comes up because this wasn't from this article. It's from this Hypebeast article that's about this interview. So yeah, that's the thing. It's just Hypebeast speculating based off of details that we've already heard, specifically in this case from Kanye and Cudi tweeting the West Day Ever announcements. What was that, like 2 months ago now, with the animated teaser for the show. But we haven't had any updates since then, and we don't know if it's in the works. There was actually kind of like an intense tweet from Murakami the other day talking about like having pain in his side and having to like be tidy before he dies, where you're just like, I hope he's okay. Like, I hope this isn't just like a Twitter translation issue and he's like joking around, something sarcastic. I don't know, but not to like worry you either, but I don't know where either of these projects are currently at, but it's not something that Kid Cudi discussed in this interview. This interview specifically is about the fact that there is a show coming out called We Are Who We Are, and Cudi's starting to do some promo for that. So did this interview with Esquire. And even though it deals a lot with that show, it's a pretty comprehensive interview. And I know that there's a decent overlap between Kanye fans and Cudi fans. So this is something you'll definitely want to check out if you're a Cudi fan, just to hear, you know, Cudi's perspective on acting, where he's currently at, his mental health. Ironically enough, or funny enough, in the show, his character is a ardent Trump supporter. So there he is with the Make America Great Again hat on. And Cudi starts to talk about that, and that's where they get into conversation about Kanye. And my first clue that he didn't talk about this stuff in this article is you see the formatting here. And when I was checking this out, I was like, here's the That's My Brother, I'll Go on Record, and there's a paragraph gap. That's not the same formatting at all. Like, did they update the article? What's going on? But it does go into a little bit of a history. So let's see. Kanye West. West was an early mentor and largely responsible for bringing Cudi to national attention. In 2008, he heard Cudi's breakout mixtape, A Kid Named Cudi, which melded Cudi's freewheeling sense of melody with hip-hop beats and captured the genre-bending experimentation of the Zeros blog era, and got inspired. Not long after, Cudi was on a plane to Hawaii to work on what would become 808s and Heartbreak, which is kind of wild just thinking about, like, Kanye does that all the time. It feels like each album he has somebody else that he kind of like plucks out from nowhere and kind of makes a star. It was Cudi here. I actually don't know if there was anybody on Graduation, but on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, you had Sci-Hi really like come aboard and start to get a lot of shine. I mean, not necessarily up front, like as an artist in the way that Cudi ended up getting, but behind the scenes, right? Sci-Hi has been a huge force as a writer, a collaborator for Kanye, and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was really kind of the beginning of that. And then you had Travis Scott with Yeezus, Chance on The Life of Pablo, though Chance already had a lot of acclaim from his mixtapes and EPs, right? But The Life of Pablo really elevated him to a different level. And then on Yay, it's Ty Dolla $ign and Aunt Clemens. Same with Kids See Ghosts and Jesus is King. And then with Donda, it seems to be Casey Pluto, right? Anyway, so Westmost, yeah, not long after Cudi was on a plane to Hawaii, Westmost stylistically daring album, Yeezus, is a close second, helping the superstar mourn. I appreciate Brendan here just knowing that fans will be like, what about Yeezus? And he's just like, Yeezus is a close second. Calm down. A close second. Helping the superstar mourn the loss of his mother and broken engagement, filtered through auto-tune on the record. West would go on to executive produce Cudi's debut, Man on the Moon, The End of Day, which would spawn his introductory hits Day and Night and Pursuit of Happiness. I thought some people would be foolish about it and be like, oh, he must have talked to Kanye, or Kanye must have got to him, or some shit like that regarding Cudi wearing the hat in the show. I think he knows where I stand, and I think he doesn't bring it up to me. We just don't talk about it. I definitely have family members and friends where that's the case. I totally disagree with it. I think he knows that, and if he doesn't know, he knows now. That's my brother. I'll go on record. That's my brother. I love him. Cudi goes on. But that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything he fucking says and he fucking does, you know? Which, yeah, I get. I think that's the case for most of us. There are some of us that are just like, anything Kanye says, I'm on board with. But I think for the most part, we all have our eventual lines. We're just like, I'll ride with him on 98% of things, but this, I can't quite go there with you. Like, I'm not going to suddenly become religious because Kanye's become religious. I'll support him becoming religious, you know, or anybody else, but it's just not my bag. At all. But it's like that with all friends, all family. Like, you support people, you love them, you can recognize that you have disagreements, and you find your common ground and move on beyond that. Politics aside, Cudi and West's relationship is still a foundationally important one to him. The pair released a collaborative album in 2018 after West pivot towards antagonism via conservatism. What a succinct and beautiful way of phrasing that. Under the moniker Kid See Ghosts, Cudi credits the project with helping him regain his footing after the lowest period in his life. I almost fucking lost my mind twice. I almost took myself out of here, he says. So something had to change with my lifestyle. Drastically, something had to change. It talks about 2016. Kanye had checked himself into rehab, and you may remember like a very cryptic and sad tweet that he had, like announcing that he was at a breaking point, a tipping point, a point of change. He says, I think I was just dealing with a lot of shit from years and years and years of trying to just hide things and not confront shit and self-medicate with alcohol and drugs. It was going to happen sooner or later. I'm happy it happened when it did, in a way where I was like, okay, now I need to get me some help. I feel that I'm going to break soon, and if I don't fucking get help, shit's going to get bad. So, that's when he like stepped back from music. That's when he went to rehab and started getting his footing. But by the end of 2016, like Kanye reached out to him. It was a little under a year into his musical hiatus. West called with an idea. Fans had been clamoring for a joint from the pair since 2008 when Cudi burst mournfully onto the scene in a show-stopping guest appearance on West's Welcome to Heartbreak. I felt a little bit more confident because I had my friend lifting me up. And he talks about how like he was unsure about what he was going to do with music, and he didn't know when I would do another solo. I didn't know if I had it in me, so having Kanye there was something that lifted him up, right? That kind of brought me back. The pair convened a group of their closest collaborators and began work on what would become a 7-track album in December of 2016, starting by coming up with beats and freestyles at West's house, but eventually traveling to Japan and China to record in the summer of 2017. Yeah, you may remember there were photos of Kanye and Cudi and Murakami in the middle of 2017, and we didn't really get that much insight. There was rumors of a joint project, but nothing really manifested from that until 2018 when we finally got more of the Kid See Ghost announcements. But there was still a lot of confusion about the release of that project just because Ye had scrapped Love Everyone, Love Everybody, and started working on Ye in such a short span. People started to wonder, is Kid See Ghost also like this? It's being finished kind of up to the finish line and just it's a race to get it done. But what we've kind of learned in the aftermath of that is that Kid See Ghost was probably the project being worked on for the longest, having gotten started at the end of 2016 and being worked on over time in 2017 and the early parts of 2018, and that it and Pusha T's album Daytona were both kind of 2 years in the making, as opposed to Ye, which still there were aspects to Ye that had been in the making, right? Like Brothers was a song that Kanye had first heard at the end of 2017 and had time with in the early parts of 2018, and they thought was initially going to be on whatever the 2018 album was, but it got reappropriated and cannibalized by Violent Crimes. And so it's not like Kanye just came up with the Violent Crimes beat sporadically without like in that 3-week period. It's something that he had on a project. He just reworked it over that little bit of time. And I think a lot of the songs were probably like that. He took tidbits, bits and pieces from the original album and just updated a lot of the lyrics, updated some of the concepts, but that it wasn't like he just complete scratch Ye was created from. But interesting just details about that. Coming from 2016, it was like hell. I was happy to do Kid See Ghost. I was ecstatic to be alive. And that's kind of where we're at. Like, it kind of goes into Cudi's career at that point. Kanye kind of drops from the picture. You get him talking about like Shia LaBeouf and Timothy Chalamet. And that's it. There's nothing in here in regards to the animated show or Intergalactic. I mean, his next album, he just says like he's working on something, but I'm pretty sure last year he said was going to come out this year. Then this year it got pushed to next year. I don't know how into a solo project Cudi is right now, as opposed to acting and collaboration and everything else that he's doing. Even saying that his project with Travis Scott kind of changed what his approach was. Turn the beats up, bring those BPMs up, get the party fucking started. That's what I'm on now. I think I've made all the mid-tempo, slow records I could ever make in my career, and now it's all about fucking turning it up. And I do wonder if that's had an impact on the timeline of his next solo album. But now I'm getting into this being a Kid Cudi channel rather than a Kanye channel. But just if you see rumors that there's been a confirmation that the animated show is still happening, not really. I mean, it could still be happening. That doesn't mean that it's not happening. Just we haven't gotten an update. That's all I'm trying to say. So as I always knock it. Anyway, if you want to support the channel, we have our Lyrical Analysis podcast. And you can listen to the free episodes that we have one season at a time up and release those once a week. So currently it's our second time through the College Dropouts. And we're releasing those one episode at a time over the course of the next 14 weeks or however long it is. And then if you want faster episodes, we have our patreon.com/Kanye Podcast, and our whole catalog is available. There is 127 posts to unlock, like a ton of episodes, all of the College Dropout already, our new season on late registration that we're recording 2 episodes a week, plus a bunch of bonus episodes. So there's a ton of content for just $5, and the support goes a long way and means a lot, because Patreon and YouTube are our only 2 monetization efforts at this time. We also have this Yeezus book, which we get paid very rarely on, but it's available as well. We wrote a whole book along with Martin Connor and Donald Martin describing Yeezus, the album, and breaking it down in the most detailed way anybody has ever broken down Yeezus to this point, Things could change, but to this point. So if you want to grab a copy of that, it's available on Amazon as well. And there's a link down in the description. So yeah, that's it for this video. Until next time, stay wavy and keep it loopy. Cheers.